I'm going to help you to score more goals in FC 26. And now you might be wondering, what the f is he talking about? Everybody scores plenty of goals in FC 26. Defending is hard, attacking is easy. And I agree, especially if you play against opponents that keep self-destructing their own defensive line. Because this is what chance creation is about, destructing the defensive line and structure. So if, for example, here the opponent first pulled out their center back a little bit wide, then switching to this center back here, and also then pulling this center back out of position, creating here this space, this kind of pocket that we can play an easy pass to. And if that is the case, then it's easy to create chances, because now in FC 26 we can play those passes and in that case score the goal. But if you keep climbing up the divisions, at some point you will start facing a special type of player. I call it the chaser. And you will see in just a bit why I call it the chaser, because here you see the opponent has this player selected. This is Messi. This is obviously an attacking player and also not so well known for his defensive efforts. But the opponent will make sure that Messi is going to contribute in the defense, because as you can see, the opponent doesn't switch away. Just keeps chasing with this player back to his own or their own box. So in that case, the opponent doesn't select one of those defenders creating those openings, etc., but instead just gets another player in the defense involved, which makes it way harder to create chances, because the spaces are much tighter. They have an additional player, and then chance creation is much harder. And at the end you can see that the opponent actually wins the ball with Messi. So what do we do about this? I'm going to tell you in this video. I'm Benjamin from The Guide, and in this video I will give you attacking tips, and at the end of the video specifically what I like to do against those chasers. But first, 3 attacking tips, or more like fundamental knowledge, that I'm going to drop on how we can create chances. And the first one is that we should not be afraid of direct play in FC 26. You see it like here. Only 3-4 passes, and at the end I end up really close here at the edge of the box of the opponent. Didn't take much, right? And this was enabled with direct play. You see it here. I just win the ball. I secure ball possession, turning away, like opening up the first passing option up forward. So I play this pass. And in those situations, after you play this pass here to the midfield, in the best case, we have the chance to play up forward to our striker, if that is possible. But right here, we have an opponent blocking this kind of passing opportunity. So if that is the case, then go for like just passes a little bit to the side or also back, to have then the option to play up forward. As soon as we have those options, go for it. Be brave about it, because in FC 26 there are 2 factors contributing to that. First of all, you can get away with more stuff. So those passes on the edge, they tend more to work in FC 26, and also the attacking AI is more available, not doing so much stupid runs like in FC 25 for example, but instead, as you will see here in just a bit when I play the pass here to my central midfielder, in those moments you can be more trustworthy in those attackers to be available. In that case, I'm playing a 2-striker formation. I'm going to talk about this in just a bit, but I know that here the player is, and in 25 I would have to be concerned that this pass might not reach its target. But in that case, I know it's working, because as you can see here, the striker is available and will receive this pass. And the major upside of this is, with this kind of pass, you see it right here, we skip through the entire midfield. So we make the midfield non-existent, and in that way we apply a lot of pressure to the opponent to really select a defender early on, because they would be afraid otherwise that we will do something, create something with the 2 strikers. So you see here, the opponent won't be as inclined to just run back with the midfielders, because I'm bridging so much space with these kind of direct passes. If we have the chance, go for it. So we have like early pressure on the defensive line, so the opponent has to select a defender in that case. So this opens up a lot of space that we can now penetrate with this kind of directed run. We get forward, and now since the opponent still pulled out this center back, we still have this kind of open space. So this is always something that we should have an eye out, these kind of spaces that open up when the opponent selects some defenders and pulling out players out of position. So now here's a ball roll. I know my other striker is also coming into this open space, and we have a chance to score this goal. So very nice. And this is also what you see in this attack. You see like only 2 passes, and once again I have the ball at my striker. So how was it possible? Like once again, just direct play. We have like in that case, a free kick in our own half. It's like the first pass here. Then we just play a driven pass. Driven pass is also very good for those kind of instances. So like R1 plus X or RB plus A. And we get it to our winger. And now very similar to what we've seen before, we just play this kind of pass to our striker. Once again, the striker available. And before that, I just played the pass here from the central position. So if we have the chance to play those kind of direct passes up forward to our striker, this helps us a lot to get through the attackers, to get through the midfield, and just have already these kind of situations where we have a lot of pressure on the defenders. So the opponent, as I said already, will be more inclined to go to a defender, here in that case, like controlling the fullback. So we then once again like try to interplay or like do passing combinations between those 2 strikers. Here in that case, the opponent now pulls out the center back, and always try to orientate yourself towards these kind of open spaces that the opponent might create. So here in that case, you see me, I'm doing a flare nutmeg, L1 plus R1 and right stick 90 degree to the side, or L1, LB plus RB and the right stick flick. So we have this kind of movement here, and now I'm opening up myself to this open space that I can now either dribble in that direction or play a pass in that direction. So this is what I end up doing, and I score the next goal. And if you like what you see here in terms of how I'm able to play with that formation, I already displayed the tactic code here so that you can try it out for yourself. But what I would advise you to do is check out the formation guide that we publish on the Guide Plus, where we explain in detail how to play it. Not only give you the roles and the settings for this kind of formation, but you can actually get some analysis and in-depth explanation how to play with this formation in the defense, but also in the attack. So this is really helpful, and this is also part of our course where we explain the fundamentals of FCIQ, but also then more formations coming up soon. So if you like that, if you would be interested in that, check out the link in the video description, or I think here in the top right, you can click on the icon. And this also helps us to keep going with this kind of content. If you like that, also check out that you right now have a really nice opportunity to get some nice discount on the season pass. You get access to 10 plus courses, 100 plus lessons or tutorials, and this for a very nice price. And as I said, it supports us to keep going with this kind of content. And keeping going with content, let's go back to the explanations, and in that case go back to the second tip that I want to give. And in that case, it's we have to create movement. Creating movement is the key in FC26 to like have this kind of pressure on the defensive line to make opponents select defenders. This is already happening here. We see that the opponent is like controlling this player. I will go back just a bit, because first of all, you will see here, I trigger the first one. So what you want to do is press L1 or LB, but aim at the player that you would like to trigger a run. So this is the combination for triggering runs. You see this player is starting a run. I think I'm going to trigger another run here. So I'm pointing downwards, and now I'm triggering the run here. So in that case, I'm aiming down below. This should trigger the run of this player. And this like opens up those kind of opportunities. But what is really crucial here is I notice as well that the opponent is pulling out this player. I see like, oh, there's a gap in the defensive line. Really nice. Let's penetrate and punish that. So I will end up doing is I'm going to trigger another run. So here you see like once again L1 plus or LB and the right stick to trigger the run of this player. And this run now is the key in that moment, because since the opponent pulled out the player here in just a bit, now this player starts to run. And what is so crucial in FC26, if you have those kind of situations, you can be more inclined to just play the through passes. As soon as you created the movement and triggered a run, you see there is a chance of this pass going through. Just follow it, because a lot of times your players will be onside and will be just able to reach those kind of passes. So I play the pass and I end up in this situation. So it was just the key here to trigger those runs and end up in this spot to finish this attack. But there are other ways, or like in that case, one more time, how we trigger runs. Unfortunately, my controller overlay was not working here. But here I trigger runs, as you can see at the top side. The opponent is heavily focused on that. This whole area is very congested, so I'm not going in that direction, but instead I turn to the lower side, and as you can see here, my player is raising the arm, indicating, well, I'm doing a run because I triggered it. Similar to before, I was aiming to the bottom right here in that case, pressing L1 plus LB, triggering the run. And as I said, like if you do this, and in particular, if you triggered some runs somewhere else, you will notice that the defenders track those runs maybe on their own, but this will help that this gives this player more room to be on side. So this is really helpful here. The run is triggered, I see the option, and this is like what you should take away. Don't be afraid to play those passes. If you triggered the run and you might be hesitating, I'm not quite sure if it reached the target or if the player will be onside, etc. When you're in doubt, just play the passes. There's a really good chance that it's going to work. And as you can see, it works here in that case, and I can score a goal. But there's another very important technique how we can create this movement, very similar. And these are the 1-2 passes. Let me find the right moment here. I already did the passing input. But very similar now is that we basically start or like trigger a run on the pass. So we play a give and go. So we play this pass to our teammate like this, but when we press L1 plus LB, we start this movement of the player or like start or trigger the run on the pass. So then the idea is here always when we have like an opponent like really focused and maybe try to win the ball here, this opens up the space behind those kind of players. So the 1-2 passes are really important of creating movement as well. So this is what I do here. The opponent pulls out, I just avoid this opponent and then play the pass. We have more chances of getting around defenders because dribbling is better in FC26, so this works very nicely. Now we end up in this position. We play the pass here to this player, and as you will see, I missed the timing here. I will go back a bit and I will try to hit it one more time. A little bit too late, but you get the point. Here I play another 1-2 pass. I lay it off to this player, but as you can see, always with a pass, with a ground pass, we hold L1 or LB to initiate the 1-2 pass. So I know that this player will start the run afterwards, and since the opponent now is really focused on, whoa, I have to defend here this striker, this will open up the space here behind the defender as well. So this is what I'm doing here. I lay it off to my player and then just going to bounce it back, very simple with another X or A pass, ground pass, and I'm through on goal. So two 1-2 passes in that case made it possible for me to end up in this situation and to have a lot of movement going in my favor. And now, if that is not working, so far direct play and 1-2 passes, trigger and runs was the key to create chances. Look at this example. This is the complete opposite, because I want to teach you that sometimes you have to be patient, but also it's about that you can use just left stick dribbling to open up passing lanes or opportunities. This is key, like this whole aspect, because I see a lot of players dribble and they don't fulfill any purpose. They don't know what they actually want to accomplish. And I want to just show you, like, this is a very simplified, or it's like a very simple example. It's illustrating and underlining this key aspect of playing FC. We want to dribble with a purpose. In that case, what you should understand is that this space here, and I'm going to highlight this just like this, this is the space that we would like to go to, because as you can see, this kind of midfield doesn't contribute and stabilize or make this area really dense. So what we would like to do is play a pass in this area, since we have those two strikers here. Very nice. But the problem is we cannot really play a pass. In contrast to before, what I showed you in the beginning, here this kind of pass is not possible. The striker is available, but I cannot play the pass because it's blocked by the opponent. So here, this would be a good situation for me to focus more on dribbling to try to open up the passing lanes. It could be either passing combinations to open up those passing lanes or like just dribbling. And now we dribble with a purpose. This is the difference, because here I will just wait and see. I'm just going to slow it down a bit. You see the opponent is coming close to me and I just try to avoid the opponent. The opponent makes a gamble, in that case, going to the wrong direction. And now all of a sudden our dribbling had a purpose, because in contrast to before, now I'm able to play the pass. Before it was not possible. Now I can play this pass up forward to my striker. So the way, or like the intention of my dribbling was clear, and the outcome is as good. If the opponent would have defended differently and, for example, would have known that I will go to the lower side, well, then I would have maybe need to turn around one more time, maybe play the ball to another player. So like we have to keep the ball moving either with passes or with dribbling to create those passing opportunities. This is why we actually dribble, not just because it's nice to dribble, but we actually want to fulfill a purpose with that. So this is what you see here. And then also what is working very nicely, by the way, in those spots is using controlled sprint. As soon as you get the ball here at the edge of the box, and as soon as maybe, because I think what you also see is the opponent is too late to switch to the center back, right? We have this kind of chaser like defensive approach, just going from behind and being very late with switching to the center back. And in those situations, going for the controlled sprint to accelerate into open space is really good because you still maintain a lot of ball control. So using R1 or RB dribbling, controlled sprint is really good in those spots. And then we go for the low driven finish to the far post. Really good shooting technique. If you're not aware of that, how it works, we also have a lesson on this on the Guide Plus. And now we have two situations remaining. I'm going to show you one more time how I'm using dribbling with a purpose. And in that case, it's also opening up the passing opportunities, as you can see here. So you notice I get the ball here on the wing and I try to create passing opportunities. And I was not sure if I can play a pass here, so I keep holding the ball, looking for opportunities. And now I saw, like in that moment here, well, I would like to once again play the pass here towards this area because those players are in really good positions. But I cannot because the opponent has too much pressure on me with this kind of defender. And once again, like in that case, I use left stick dribbling to bait out the defender, and all of a sudden we have the opportunity. Once again, it was dribbling with a purpose. Not just dribbling because it looks good, but we accomplished something with this. And in that case, it's now possible to play a pass like here, and from here we can play passes to our two strikers easily. So we have a lot of options. In that case, by the way, I will just go back a bit to also show it in that moment here. At some point here, I just pressed L1 to trigger the run as well. So like it gets a little bit complicated, but like putting it all together is going to help. Triggering runs, using left stick dribbling with a purpose, like, and maybe I'm just going to explain this also very briefly. What is key about left stick dribbling here in this moment is just understand from which side the opponent is coming from. So you see the opponent is approaching me from the lower side. So my reaction with the left stick is just turning around the other side, going away from the pressure. And now we can use the opponent's pressure to our favor, opening up those kind of passing opportunities up forward. We get the ball to our striker. Decisive way how we control the ball, setting up the finish. There's so much to learn here. And then at the end, we score another low-driven shot. So now, at the beginning of this video, I was talking about how we face up against those chasers, and this is what you will see here in this situation. You see, I try to go for this kind of direct play. I end up here in this position with this player, and you see the opponent, instead of saying, ooh, like, whoa, there are two strikers, like two attackers in good positions, maybe I should switch to one of those defenders, my opponent. And I'm not blaming the opponent, by the way. I used to blame those players in earlier FCs and FIFAs because I didn't like it, but in FC 26 it's pretty effective to defend like this. But as you can see, the opponent just sticks to this player. So what we should do in those situations is also trigger runs. So what you can see here, if we go back just a moment, so here I have those opportunities in front of me. At some point I will start triggering runs to get pressure on the defensive line, because if the opponent doesn't select one of those defenders, and if one of the two strikers make good runs, then I might have the chance to like really punish those kind of gaps that will get created, or like at least not necessarily gaps, but if the opponent doesn't pick up the runs, as you can see now here, this player is fully accelerated and is approaching the defensive line really quick, and the opponent isn't doing anything about this. So now this is the way how we can really punish this kind of defensive behavior, because we trigger those runs, and then I think I did it another time. Now I can just wait for the perfect timing, because this player doesn't apply enough pressure and is not hindering me of playing this kind of pass. So at the end, I'm able to funnel this pass through, and I'm going to score the goal against this chaser kind of player. So this is how I like to punish those chasers and all those kind of fundamental tips or attacking tips that I gave you contribute to put it all together to create more chances. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If that was the case, leave us a like and also check out our other content. You're looking for those defending tips that I mentioned at the beginning. We already have a video for this. This is going to be linked here in the screen right now. And also don't forget to check out the Guide Plus and all the content that we create there. This is really a really good opportunity to learn FC in a structured way with our courses. So thanks for your attention. Keep a clean sheet. I'm out.